Once upon a time in a quiet suburban town, there lived a woman named Lily. She was a simple, kind-hearted person who believed in the beauty of small joys, morning coffee, long walks, and the comforting hum of a modest life. She had been married to Daniel for 5 years. To her, Daniel was a humble man, working tirelessly as an accountant in a small firm. Their life wasn't extravagant, but it was filled with love, or so she thought. One evening, while cleaning out the attic, Lily stumbled upon a dusty, locked briefcase hidden beneath a pile of old blankets. It wasn't something she had seen before, and curiosity got the better of her. She searched for the key but found none. Her heart raced as she wondered what Daniel could be hiding. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of Daniel arriving home. She quickly put the briefcase back and decided to wait for the right moment to ask him. Over dinner that night, Lily casually brought up the attic. "I was cleaning today and found a briefcase. Do you know anything about it?" Daniel's fork paused midair. For a moment, a shadow of discomfort flickered across his face, but he quickly masked it with a smile. "Oh, just some old papers from before we got married. Nothing important," he replied lightly. But Lily couldn't shake off the feeling that he was hiding something. Daniel had always been honest, or so she thought. That night, as he slept soundly beside her, she felt a pang of unease. Was there a part of him she didn't know? The following day, while Daniel was at work, Lily's curiosity got the better of her. She returned to the attic and examined the briefcase again. This time, she noticed a tiny compartment at the bottom. Inside, she found a small key. With trembling hands, she unlocked the case. What she found inside left her speechless. Stacks of documents, ownership deeds for properties she didn't recognize, and photos of Daniel at lavish parties wearing expensive suits. Among the papers was a bank statement. The number on the balance made her head spin. Daniel wasn't just wealthy, he was a billionaire. Her husband, the man who had told her they couldn't afford a weekend getaway, was living a life she never even dreamed of. The shock left her reeling. Questions flooded her mind. Why had he hidden this from her? Who was the man she had married? As the weight of the discovery sank in, Lily realized her life was about to change forever. Lily couldn't contain the storm of emotions swirling inside her. Shock, betrayal, confusion, and an aching sadness. That evening, she waited for Daniel to return, her heart pounding as she rehearsed what she would say. As soon as he walked through the door, she placed the unlocked briefcase on the dining table. Daniel froze in his tracks, his expression shifting from confusion to alarm. "Care to explain this?" Lily asked, her voice calm but laced with hurt. Daniel hesitated, his eyes darting to the briefcase. "Lily, I can explain." "Explain?" she interrupted, her voice rising. "You lied to me, Daniel. You told me you were just an accountant, that we had to budget every penny. But this is a fortune. You're a billionaire, and you've been lying to me for years. Why?" He sighed deeply and ran a hand through his hair, avoiding her piercing gaze. "Lily, it's not what you think. I wanted a normal life, away from the pressure and expectations that come with all that money. I didn't want it to change us, to change you." "Change me?" she repeated, incredulous. "Do you even hear yourself? You've been living a double life, Daniel, and now I'm supposed to believe it was all for my sake?" Daniel stepped closer, his tone softening. "I didn't want you to love me for my money. I needed to know that you loved me for who I am, not for what I have." Lily stared at him, her emotions colliding. "And what about trust, Daniel? Did you think I wouldn't be able to handle the truth? Did you think I'd love you less if I knew who you really were?" Daniel's silence spoke louder than words. Lily felt her world shatter a little more. The days that followed were filled with tension. Daniel tried to mend the cracks, showering her with reassurances, but Lily couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. The man she thought she knew was a stranger, someone who had hidden a monumental part of himself. One night, as she sat alone in their living room, staring at the briefcase, a thought struck her. What else could he be hiding? With a deep breath, she decided to dig deeper. If Daniel had kept the secret, there could be more buried in his past. What she uncovered next left her stunned, a folder labeled Carter Enterprises. It detailed Daniel's involvement in a massive corporate scandal from years ago, something the media had reported on but never tied back to him. It painted him as a mastermind who had walked away unscathed, while others took the fall. Her hands shook as she read the final line of her report. All assets transferred offshore under the alias D. Carter. She realized that her husband's secrets ran far deeper than she had imagined. This wasn't just about money. This was about power, deception, and a man who wasn't just flawed, he was dangerous. Lily felt like she was drowning in the weight of Daniel's lies. The man she had shared her life with wasn't just hiding wealth. He was entangled in something far more sinister. She spent sleepless nights piecing together the puzzle, rereading the documents, and questioning every memory she had of him. Was anything they shared real? When Daniel came home the next evening, she was waiting for him again, this time with the folder open on the table. "Carter Enterprises," she said quietly, her voice steady but cold. "Do you want to explain this?" Daniel froze mid-step, his face drained of color, and for the first time Lily saw something she'd never seen before in him. Fear. "Where did you find that?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "In the briefcase," Lily replied. "The one you swore was just old papers." "Who are you, Daniel? Or should I say D. Carter?" Daniel sank into the nearest chair, his shoulders slumping as though the weight of the world had finally caught up with him. "You weren't supposed to know about this," he muttered, rubbing his temples. "Then maybe you should have done a better job hiding it," she shot back. "How could you involve yourself in something like this? People went to jail, Daniel. Lives were ruined, and you just walked away?" He looked up at her, his eyes filled with something between guilt and defiance. "You don't understand. I didn't have a choice. If I hadn't done what I did, my family would have lost everything. I was protecting them, protecting myself. Yes, I made decisions I'm not proud of, but it wasn't all black and white." "Protecting yourself?" Lily said, her voice breaking. "Is that how you justify ruining lives? And what about me, Daniel? Did you ever think about what keeping these secrets would do to me?" Daniel stood abruptly, his voice rising. "I did it for us, Lily. I wanted a fresh start, a chance to leave all of that behind. I thought I could keep you safe by keeping you in the dark." Lily laughed bitterly, tears streaming down her face. "Safe? Do you have any idea how unsafe I feel now? I don't even know who I married." For the first time, Daniel looked truly defeated. "You know me, Lily. You know the man who loves you, who built this life with you. That's who I am." Lily shook her head. "I thought I knew you, but now I see that the man I fell in love with is just another lie." She turned and walked out of the room, leaving Daniel standing alone amidst the shards of their crumbling marriage. In the days that followed, Lily tried to come to terms with everything she had learned. She considered leaving, but her heart was conflicted. Despite the lies, despite the betrayal, part of her still loved him. But could love survive the weight of so many secrets? The question gnawed at her as she started uncovering more about Daniel's past. She found articles online, linking D. Carter to other scandals, hidden investments, shadowy partnerships, and whispered rumors of betrayal even among his closest allies. The more she learned, the more she questioned not just her marriage, but herself. How could she have been so blind? And then, one night, a knock at the door shattered the fragile silence of her thoughts. When she opened it, she was met by a man she didn't recognize, a tall figure in a tailored suit, holding an envelope. "Mrs. Carter?" he asked, his tone polite but firm. "It's Lily," she corrected, her voice cautious. He handed her the envelope. "You might want to read this. It concerns your husband." Before she could respond, he turned and disappeared into the night. With trembling hands, she opened the envelope. Inside was a single piece of paper with an address scrawled on it and a note. "If you want the truth, meet me here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Come alone." Lily's heart raced. Was this a trap? Or was this her chance to finally uncover everything Daniel had been hiding? The next evening, Lily sat in her car, parked outside the address written in the note. It was an unassuming building on the edge of town, its dimly lit exterior blending into the shadows of the night. Every instinct in her body screamed at her to leave, but she couldn't. Not now, not after coming this far. Summoning her courage, she stepped out of the car and approached the building. The door creaked as she pushed it open, revealing a small, empty room lit by a single flickering bulb. A man was waiting for her, the same figure who had delivered the note. He gestured for her to sit across from him at a plain wooden table. "Who are you?" Lily asked, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The man leaned forward, his face shadowed. "I'm someone who used to work with your husband, or rather D. Carter." Lily's stomach churned at the name. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," he said. "But I thought you deserved to know the truth. Your husband isn't just a liar, he's a manipulator. The scandal you uncovered? It's just the tip of the iceberg. He built his empire on the backs of others, crushing anyone who got in his way." Lily's hands clenched into fists. "Why are you telling me this? What do you gain?" "Revenge," the man replied coldly. "He betrayed me, just like he's betrayed so many others. But this isn't just about me. It's about you, Mrs. Carter. You've been living in his shadow, blind to the man he really is." Lily felt anger bubbling inside her, but also doubt. "If this is true, why haven't you gone public? Why come to me?" "Because," the man said, sliding a thick file across the table, "I believe you're the only one who can bring him down. You're his wife. You know his habits, his weaknesses. This file contains everything you need, evidence of his offshore accounts, falsified documents, and the people he's destroyed along the way." Lily stared at the file, her mind spinning. Was this her chance to expose the truth? To finally take control of a situation that had spiraled so far beyond her grasp? But doing so would mean destroying Daniel, and herself in the process. The scandal would ruin both of their lives. "I need time to think," she said, rising from her chair. The man nodded. "Take the file. Do what you think is right. But remember, staying silent makes you complicit." When Lily returned home, she found Daniel waiting for her in the living room, his expression tense. "Where were you?" he asked sharply. She ignored his question, clutching the file tightly in her hands. "Daniel, I need you to tell me the truth. All of it. No more lies." Daniel sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Lily, I've already told you everything." "Don't," she snapped, her voice trembling with anger. "I met someone tonight. Someone who worked with you. They gave me this." She tossed the file onto the table between them. Daniel's face paled. He opened the file and flipped through its contents, his hands shaking slightly. "Lily, I can explain—" "Stop," she interrupted, tears streaming down her face. "I've heard enough explanations. I want the truth. Did you ruin lives to build your fortune? Did you betray people who trusted you?" He looked at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of guilt and desperation. "Yes," he admitted finally, his voice barely audible. "I did. But I never wanted this to touch you. I wanted to protect you from the ugliness of it all." "Protect me?" Lily's voice cracked. "You've destroyed everything I thought we had. How am I supposed to believe anything you say now?" Daniel reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "Lily, I love you. Everything I've done, right or wrong, was for us." She stared at him, her heart breaking all over again. "No, Daniel. You did it for yourself. And now I have to decide whether I can live with that." In the days that followed, Lily wrestled with her decision. The file sat on her desk, a ticking time bomb that could end everything. She could destroy Daniel's empire, but at what cost? Did she want revenge, justice, or simply freedom from the web of lies? Finally, she made her choice. She confronted Daniel one last time. "I'm leaving," she said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. "I can't live like this, surrounded by lies and deceit." Daniel looked at her, his face crumbling. "Lily, please, don't go." But she did. She packed her things and walked out of the house, leaving behind the life she thought she knew. As she drove away, she felt a strange mixture of pain and relief. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in years, she felt free. And as for the file, Lily mailed it anonymously to the authorities, letting them decide what justice looked like. The end.